A soldier sits on the floor of the checkpoint, playing a game of chess with a companion. The new routine of the last month has been boring. Wake up, patrol, wait for the daily raid from China, maybe worry about a bombing run, repel the raid, not the raid from the sky, but the raid from the floor, do anything you like, and sleep. But this day, the 5th of April, would be different. There'd be an attack, but from behind. The Italian troops at Retog are surrounded. Will they break out or be forced to surrender? Welcome to our latest episode. Tibets, Mountanious problems, and China breaks through. If you want more content like this, then go to World War II month by month over on Podbean, but you'll actually find that under week by week, as we started that channel in 2022 at the beginning of 1939, at the time being weekly. Once you find it, follow the podcast and do as much to download the podcast, which helps us out more trying to figure out how many people are actually listening to the podcast than actually listening to it there. On Podbean you'll also find podcasts like Fantasy 606, Warlords of History, which is also a podcast I'm following and is amateur again, very good podcast, and the Kingston Generals podcast, Ages of Conquest. Go over there and you'll find some very good content. Goodbye. The other events this month actually concern mostly the US. And on the 21st of March, US troops of 1st Army under Jason P. Nelson arrive on Japan. And in next month's Taiwan episode, they will join in as things get very, very, very interesting in conflict over there. In America itself, Senator Brian Schatz is accused of being a spy for China, though this dispels very quickly. Let me just stop and just quickly say that I'm not accusing Mr. Schatz, I'm probably butchering his name, of being a spy, and I do mean no intended harm to the senator. This fact only is equivalent to the series, and please don't get worked up about it if you hear about this. Okay, let's go to Tibet, where on February 19th, the Battle of Ghuze begins when troops emerged on the town from the Ghuze Pass, from the Khyber Pass, I think that's how you say it. And Japanese 7th and 27th Regiments of the 3rd Division engaged these troops in a fierce first attack, which failed. Realising this wouldn't work, Chinese commander Lin Qiangyang decided to outflank the Japanese, but French 1st Infantry Regiment checked this. So on the 28th, Lin launched another attack, this time held by a bombing raid from the Chinese air brigades. The Japanese held firm, but unfortunately the French 1st Infantry didn't and were displaced, so the Japanese were now trapped. Lin knew that an Allied counterattack was likely and could easily force him back from his current positions. So with this, ordered a continued push, and by March 3rd had gotten to the Dongko Lake, some 55 miles to the east of Ghuze. Very good progress. Here he dug in with orders to hold firm. Here, the troops he sent dug in with orders to hold firm. So he would push west, when he'd taken Ghuze first. The Japanese proved tricky opponents, and their dogged defending cost Lin about 30 men a day to snipers and other casualty rates because of that. In the end, Lin ordered with a heavy heart the bombing of the defenders, which started on March 17th. Lin didn't want to do this because he liked the Japanese and thought that if the Chinese could butter them up, then maybe they could switch sides, which is very unlikely, mind you, based on what they're currently getting from the Americans. On March 19th, Lin launched another attack, and on the 20th, the Battle of Ghuze was over, with the Japanese troops surrendering. The Japanese lost half their troops, Lin lost about a fifth. On the 21st, newly reinforced troops of French 1st and 3rd Infantry Regiments tried to counterattack, but found the Japanese so well dug in that they had to retreat, losing several men, with only one Chinese man being killed by shrapnel. Lin now turned his attention on the town of Retog, which was also coming under pressure as troops under Wang Xiaobin entered Tibet and came into battle with Italian 32nd Engineer Regiment and 4th Alpine Regiment under the command of Brigadier Federico Bonato. These troops were very well dug in, so Wang threw a few assaults on it, which were repelled over the 1st and 2nd of March. But Wang kept doing this with smaller units every day, but every few days, at random intervals, he would send in half his troops to keep the Italians on their toes. On the 14th of March, Federico was killed in one of these raids, and the captain Fidel Lamio took over. On the 22nd, Wang got news from Lin that he was marching to Retog, but had come up against resistance from the Italian Mondozzi battalion, which had delayed it. Wang managed to get some troops through the pass, which was open, which unfortunately was in open terrain, so he couldn't use this to launch a flanking assault on the town. But he did use it to harass Italian foraging parties. These troops fell on the Mondozzi position, defeating them on the 28th. And on the 5th of April, Lin Kuan-yang made it to Retog, which fell on the 10th under a fierce assault. The two battles cost the Chinese lots of time, and were the only gains in the theatre in Tibet in the 2 months, as assaults elsewhere were being checked. So brings an end to an episode, and meaning that these two battles could have just decided the fate of Taiwan as well. Not that I'm saying anything, and I've not really planned the next episodes out yet. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and go back and watch our previous episodes to catch up on what's happened so far. Good night.